Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Astros Baseball. On this episode, we are going to talk about the Astros and Tiger series, which the Astros won 2-1. And joining me, Detroit Tigers and I think overall Michigan fan, Chris Castellani. What's up,
Mhm.
buddy? How you doing?
Yeah, no, I need to be a Michigan fan to hold me over during football season. But no, I'm doing well, man. No, I appreciate you having me. Always, I've been fortunate enough with what I've been able to do to have accumulated a very nice following of people who root for the Astros and watch the Astros. So I always look forward to it.
Yeah.
Whenever the Tigers go up against Houston.
All right. So former Detroit Tiger, JV, Justin
Yeah,
Verlander, he was supposed to pitch Saturday?
yeah, you're supposed to be against Flaherty.
He's supposed to pitch Saturday and he got scratched. But what I read, folks, is he might be back for the White Sox series. And no one wants to lose to the White Sox. I can tell you that. And also Kyle Tucker, who's been out for a while now. If Joe Espada said if he doesn't start running on that leg soon, he may have to do a rehab start. So let's get JV back and Kyle Tucker. But it's great to win a series without Kyle Tucker. So let's get to it. Game one was Hunter Brown. No scoring till the sixth, so both pitchers were dealing. But then the Astros went off on the sixth. In the sixth, Bregman had a triple. Triples to me the hardest thing to get. We're up 1-0. Jordan had a sac fly 2-0, and Dubon hit a 2-run homer, and that's it. 4-0 final score. What's your thoughts on the game?
Well, I mean, one thing that pretty much every Tiger fan will agree on this year is that the energy at the ballpark and really watching at home is different when Tarek Skubal is pitching. I would say, honestly, it reminds me a little bit. Now, this team isn't as good, but similar to where you guys are at in 2015 when Dallas Keuchel was doing his thing, where it's just like okay, every fifth day he's going to go. And odds are we're probably going to win that game or at least have a shot of winning that game. They were 10-3 in his starts coming into that ball game. And he was brilliant through 5 and then ran into, obviously, that trouble. They just ambushed him. I mean, I think those 4 runs came on about 8 pitches, including the Dubon 2-run home run. You know, Hunter Brown is a pitcher that has a Michigan connection, went to Wayne State, a guy that, I really liked when you guys called him up. I know he's had his struggles, and even you moved him to the bullpen, I think, at one point this season. He was great. And it seems like since he's got that cutter working, it seems like his location's a million times better. But yeah, no, it was surprising. It was Skubal's second loss of the season, probably his second worst start. It's one of those things where just as an outsider, and I said this in the video that I did, I know the Astros have had their struggles. I'm aware of the record, and mainly so much of what's happened to them is related to the pitching injuries. But whether it's first time through the order, second time, or third time, when I see Altuve, Bregman, and Jordan hitting back to back to back, like, you just don't feel great as a fan, even with somebody as good as Skubal on the mound. The one kind of weakness, and they showed it on TV, as good as Skubal's been, and right now he might be the favorite to win the American League Cy Young, he's not great third time through the order. And when you go up against experienced hitters like that, you're going to run into some trouble. The Dubon pitch was out of the zone. You put it in the Crawford boxes, but the other ones were pitches down the middle that he probably wants back. So it was a really good pitching matchup. Definitely not the best version of Skubal, but even if we would have gotten that, Brown was fantastic.
Yeah, it was only that one inning that he gave up runs.
Yeah.
Hunter Brown, he was amazing last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this year he's been struggling. And I think when we had everybody back that he was going to go to the bullpen, but we lost 2 more pitchers. So he's still in the rotation, 7 innings. This is an amazing outing for Hunter Brown. 5 hits and no runs. He didn't walk anybody.
Yeah.
And he had 9 strikeouts. He's now 3-5 with a 5.00 ERA. So I can imagine being a Tigers fan and looking at this matchup and saying, okay, we should get this first one. This guy's ERA's in the 6. We got our best pitcher. But what usually happens to the Astros is we face the worst pitcher on that team, and they're like Cy Young that day.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a lot with the Tigers. And that was one thing I even said in my video is usually when a pitcher with an elevated ERA shuts it down, it's maddening. This was one of those instances where you almost had to ignore the numbers, because not only had he been a million times better over the last month or so, but really if you and you can't do this. He had that disastrous start against Kansas City where he didn't make it out of the first and he gave up 9 runs. I'm looking at his baseball reference page right now. Since then, his ERA is 3.56. So it's much more in line. That's about 10 or 11 starts. That's much more in line with the pitcher that he was a year ago and the pitcher that I think a lot of people kind of expected him to be. So it seems like he's found the confidence again. Command, like you said, was great. I mean, there was no real threat that I can remember where we had 2 on and nobody out or anything like that. So he was in command seemingly the whole way.
The bullpen did a great job for the Astros. Overall, the pitching staff did great. Altuve went 2 for 3. He walked and scored. Bregman drove in a run, and Dubon drove in 2 runs. So not a lot of hits for the Astros. They only had 6 hits, but they took advantage of all those 6 hits and scored 4 runs. Detroit had 5 hits, and they didn't score any. Astros 1 for 4, and they left 2 on base. So we go to game 2, and this is the game Justin Verlander was supposed to pitch. And I want to say Arrighetti was supposed to go today.
He was going to go Sunday, yeah.
And maybe, perhaps, moving up, changing at the last minute to having to pitch today instead of tomorrow. Maybe that messed him up. I don't know. But the Tigers went off. Top of the first, 2 home runs, 2-0, a 2-run single, a 3-run homer. Then they scored on an error. The Tigers are up 8-0 after 2 innings.
Yeah. This is one of the things that makes this offense so maddening is that probably once a week, once every 10 games, they'll have a game like that where they pop off for double-digit runs and you see like it's in there. That version of them is in there. The consistency is not. The Tigers' whole philosophy as a team, ever since Scott Harris was brought in as the GM or as the president, is the idea of hoping to control the zone, of getting ahead in counts, making hard contact when you get pitches to hit. And through so much of this season and really last year as well, they haven't been able to do that. They're not a team that scores a ton of runs. They're not a team that hits a lot of home runs. What we saw yesterday was multiple pitchers for Houston who were getting behind in counts. And then, you give up 2 home runs in the first inning. And it seemed like after that, he was really all over the zone. And it seemed, I know the home run he gave up to Green, the second one, I think was a 2-0 count. So it was a prime example of the Tigers offense actually working to the best of its abilities. And yeah, obviously, huge break with Verlander getting scratched. Though even though it was his first start in 10 days, Jack Flaherty has been sneakily one of the most surprising pitchers in baseball. I mean, he only lasted 5 innings because he was coming off of a back injury, but he's been spectacular for them. I mean, one of the big surprises in free agency. So it would have been a great pitching matchup seeing him and Verlander go back and forth. But yeah, I mean, Riley Green there's so much pressure on him, not just being a former top prospect, but really being the only player in the lineup with a high ceiling. For him to have his first 4-hit day, that includes 2 home runs. That's kind of a recipe for success.
Yeah, he had a home run in the first, a 3-run homer in the second, and an RBI single in the third. Mm-hmm. The guy drove in 1, 4, 5 runs.
And I think he drew a walk in the 8th too. So I think he bit the bases loaded.
Yeah, he did.
In 6. Yeah. Montero walked. Yeah.
But I was just saying it right now. He drove in 5 runs in the first 3 innings. That's pretty amazing.
That'll do. Yeah.
And then so he had the RBI single. Canna drove one in. Kelly had a home run. You guys are up 11-0. And then a couple of guys we had to call up from AAA. Cesar Salazar had an RBI double, and Trey Cabbage, who's actually been on the team, I think, since Tucker went out, to make it 11-2. Chaz had a 3-run homer. We're creeping in closer, 11-5, but Green walks with the bases loaded, and Keith had a home run. Tons and tons of home runs for the Tigers on Saturday.
Yeah, rare for us. It was 4 home run days, rarely something that you see. It was, I think, the first time they showed it on Bally broadcast today. I think the first time since 1977 that a team had 3 players ages 25 or younger get 4 hits or more in a game. Not just for the Tigers, I mean in baseball. So, yeah, I think the Expos in 77 were the last team to do it. So, something of a historical day for the offense.
So, Spencer Arrighetti, an inning and a third, 5 hits and 7 runs. He gave up 3 homers. His ERA is now 6.37. He was getting close to getting it under 5, I believe. And Dubin, who's been a really good guy and off the bench. Out of the bullpen, he's not really a high leverage guy, but he usually goes in and does his job. But he had 6 hits and 3 runs. Nick Hernandez, who they called up last week, they sent him back down after this 3 2/3 innings, 3 hits and a run. So he actually did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And Seth Martinez here on the podcast, we call him Magic Man, 2 hits and 2 strikeouts. Montero and Scott, they didn't give up. They gave up. Both of them gave up a run. It's like everybody gave up a run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was they were consistent the whole game.
It's like the Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah.
All right, so the Astros 5 runs on 10 hits, 3 for 14. That's not going to get it done, folks. 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Detroit, 19 hits.
Yeah.
And 13 runs. So here's the question for you. As an Astros fan, when we put up 12, 13 runs like this, we know we're not going to score the next day. Is that how it is with your team? Is that how it is with every team?
I was reading tweets in the 3rd inning yesterday of people being like, well, we can look forward to 0 runs tomorrow. I mean, it has been that way so consistently all year. And part of it was fluky in the sense that with Verlander getting scratched, we knew it gave us a much better opportunity. But coming into today, I don't know of that many people that felt confident. One, with the fact that we typically follow up a double-digit run performance with a 0 or 1 run performance. And we have not been, and Kenta Maeda has had a rough season, to say the least, to begin his time as a Tiger. So we know this team pretty well at this point, so there was an expectation of that would probably happen.
I think that's happened to us before. I think one of the teams blew the other one out, and the next day it was another blowout. So it was like they both took turns not scoring after their blowout. So game 3 was Ronel Blanco, who I think should get the all-star nod for the Astros. He's been fantastic. We go to the bottom of the first. Jordan had an RBI single, brought in Altuve. And bottom of the second, Altuve hit his 11th home run of the year, a 3-run shot, 4-0 Astros. Detroit added a run in the 9th, 4-1 final score. So you did get 1 run.
We got 1, but it was no hit through 7 2/3. I mean, it was getting scary there for a second. One, I was talking to my family earlier tonight. One of the modern miracles is that despite how bad our offense has been in the 8 years that I've been doing Tigers content, we've never gotten no hit. And the way that Blanco is rolling there, now he only lasted 7. They brought in Presley for the 8th. He was fantastic. I mean, that changeup was really moving. He was missing bats. I mean, in the first 2 innings, he had multiple 3-pitch strikeouts. I'm like, okay, this guy's dialed in. He's been a revelation for them. I mean, in some ways, with the amount of injuries that they've had, he's kind of saved their rotation, really. I mean, I think you're probably correct in him potentially getting that all-star nod. But no, that's just kind of what we do as a team. I do think it had more so to do with what Blanco was doing right as opposed to what we were doing wrong on this particular day. He has that ability to shut down a lineup. But yeah, more of the same. It's the lack of consistency is maddening, but they were able to scratch that one across the board. And even it's just when this is an offense and this is a team really that just isn't equipped to play from behind. And Altuve had that 3-run home run, and you knew that was probably going to be a long day.
Yeah, so Blanco had a no-hitter going through 7 innings. He had 94 pitches, so he wasn't going to finish it. And Presley and Hader.
No.
I was going to say they did their job. Hader did give up a run. Altuve 2 for 3, drove in 2. Alvarez 2 for 4. Dubon 1 for 3. So we win 4-1, but those are the only 3 guys on the team that got hits. So they just got them at the right spot. And that 3-run homer certainly did help. So the Astros win the series 3-1. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to do the Ram Shirts Player of the Series, and Stadium Steffi will be joining Chris and myself. We'll be right back, folks, with more Astros baseball. All right, we're back. We're back with Chris and Steffi. What's up? Welcome.
What's up, you guys? How are y'all?
Steffi was driving like 100 miles an hour to get home.
Absolutely.
So she could be on the show with you, buddy.
I live so far that, I had to haul it for sure.
You were at the game, right?
Yeah. I was at the game Friday and at the game today. Apparently I picked the right one to miss.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I sold my ticket yesterday because every once in a while, sometimes you're just not in a people kind of mood. And that's how I felt yesterday. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to sell my ticket, chill at home, watch some Harry Potter with my cat on the couch and just relax. And my mom called me and was like, apparently you picked the right game to sell your ticket for. And I mean,
so
after
she's
32
a season
games,
ticket holder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So this is
awesome.
my 32nd game of the season today. So I have made it to plenty.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do the Ram Shirts Player of the Series. I talked to Chris before we started recording. Let's start with pitcher. It may be a no-brainer. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. No,
between
it's got
Ronald Blanco and Hunter Brown.
Yeah, well, that's true. You could go Brown. I mean, you almost want to split the bill between those two, but Blanco, I thought was incredible today. I mean, that was sometimes when a guy is a no hitter going, you feel like it's almost there's a certain amount of luck. You might get loud outs. He walks a few guys. This is one of those. He was that kind of locked in. I mean, with the way that changeup was working, we're an offense that is going to expand the zone, and I feel like he took advantage of the strike zone and took advantage at points of our hitters' aggressiveness. So no, I thought he was sensational. It's got to be him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even just looking at him from the first inning, I saw how he was thrown and I was thinking we were in for another one from him. It was incredible to watch him feel locked in. And then obviously he walked a few guys, had the bases loaded, but still got out of it. And I thought that was an incredible moment for him. It was kind of sad they took him out, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to waste an arm like that, you know? So, I mean, I feel like it's got to be Ronell, but hats off to Hunter Brown.
Yeah, Hunter Brown they both went 7 innings. Hunter Brown gave up 5 hits, but he didn't walk anybody. And then Ronell Blanco walked 3. So it was pretty close if you compare the hits to the walks. But I went with Ronell Blanco also.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give up any hits for 7 innings. You're the Ram Shirts pitcher of the series. Bro, show. All right, position player. This could be a little tough. I like to see from the Detroit Tigers fan point of view, who do you think did the damage against the Tigers and helped the Astros win the series?
I don't know if it's personal bias necessarily because the guy, he's one of my favorite baseball players of all time. But Altuve, to me, continues. He is one of those players that I just imagine he's going to be like 45 and still hitting doubles and hitting home runs. Like he's been doing this now for so long. And the way that the at-bats that he had against Tarek Skubal on Friday, to me, totally exemplified what he is as a player. Because Skubal's a power pitcher, and he's a guy who's going to try to get ahead in counts. So at first at-bat, he throws Altuve fastball, upper part of the zone. He rips it for a double. A few at-bats later, he knows Altuve is going to be aggressive. He starts him off speed, bottom part of the zone, completely different eye level. He still rips it right off the Crawford boxes for a double. Like that's who he is. Obviously today, the 3-run shot against Maeda as well. It's funny because I remember when Miguel Cabrera got to 3,000 hits, there were so many people saying, is he going to be the last one for a while to do it? I got to think with Altuve staying as consistent as he's been, that he's got to be close to being, he's got over 2,000, I know, being the next in line to do it. Just an amazing player to watch and had a pretty big series this week.
Yeah, I was going to go with Altuve as well. And before you even mentioned the 3,000 hits, I was going to agree that I feel like he's one of those guys that's going to be playing into his 40s and still just absolutely killing it. I'm convinced he will not stop playing baseball until he hits 3,000. Yeah. He's that kind of guy that I think he'll stay in it just to do it. Even though he's not huge for the personal accolades, he's usually a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Team-oriented?
Yeah, much more team oriented, much more humble, not really big about the all about me, but he comes in big moments and just gets the job done. So I was definitely going to go with Altuve as well. I mean, I think that 3-run bomb today was kind of a nice little exclamation point to get the team ahead, especially when Ronell was pitching as well as he was. It put the team in a good spot to get the series win.
Altuve went 2 for 3, 0 for 3, 2 for 3. He went 4 for 9, drove in 3. Walked twice and scored 3 times. I agree with you guys. And I'm going to piggyback off what you said, Steph. I remember they interviewed him after he had this amazing game. And he's like, you did this and it's so amazing. He goes, yeah, but, my pitcher did this. And then did you see they hit by this guy? Like it's like he doesn't even want to be recognized as being great. He's just such an awesome guy. And it sucks that he gets hate from around the league, but it is what it is. But I do feel like over the last year or so that's subsided a bit.
Yeah, like it's started to like we're that's kind of in the rear view, and it's one of those things. I think just the Astros as a whole winning the championship in 22 and like maintaining that success. I feel like the further away we get, the less people are kind of caring about it. Like if you genuinely think that's the reason for Jose Altuve's success, then like I don't really know. Like I got nothing. I got
You're
nothing
not a real
for you.
baseball fan. Sorry.
Yeah, like yeah.
All right. Coach Rose winner, someone who exceeded expectations. I'm just going to tell you who I got right now. It was Hunter Brown.
No,
I
good
didn't
one.
expect Hunter Brown to go 7 scoreless innings and walk 0 people and have 9 strikeouts. Hunter Brown, my Coach Rose winner.
One guy I'm going to go with from your team who, you know, he had a homer in this series, but I think the Astros have had a very good track record of taking on some reclamation projects who've worked out, and he's such a bizarre player as Mauricio Dubon, because he's in so many ways goes against what hitters are taught nowadays. I mean, he does not draw walks. He's a contact guy, low on base percentage. Yeah, I'm looking at his baseball. He's drawn 6 walks all year. And yet, you know, and he has a tendency to expand the zone, and yet constantly puts the ball in play. He's constantly pesky, and he's one of those guys. Altuve's somewhat like this as well, but where you will throw him a pitch off the plate that's a good pitch, and he'll just find it. He's kind of got that magic wand syndrome down, and that's what happened on the home run against School. I mean, I think it was a changeup that was below the zone. So he's one of those players who I feel like over the last 2 years has consistently played his way into your lineup, and the defensive versatility is very meaningful as well with the way that you can move him around the diamond.
Yeah, I was also going with Dubon on that one. I think the energy that he brings to this team, I think, is something that you just can't you can't duplicate. You can't replicate stuff like that. The way, I mean, him and Jordan's bromance might be the most beautiful bromance of all time. I want someone to look at me the way they look at each other, not going to lie. But no, I mean, he really just gets it done. I think he has a 10-game hit streak right now as well. So, I mean, he is just so consistent in being that guy. And I know last year when Altuve was down, he stepped up in a huge way. And for a guy who, you know, was pissed off playing off the bench in San Francisco, for him to come here and really just take on that role and actually enjoy it, it seems, you know, is kind of a huge testament to, you know, what he brings to this team, and just a change in attitude, a change in scenery sometimes can be a huge thing for players. I mean, you see it all the time when guys leave the Astros and then they're great, but you know, I mean, it happens for every team, and we're lucky enough that Doobie came here and did that for us.
Oh yeah. The thing, I was going to say something, I forgot, so I'm not going to say it. It was about Dubon, but I can't remember. But anyway, let's take a look at the standings. Great job on those picks, fellas and ladies. Seattle swept Texas today.
Yeah.
So Seattle's 43-31. Texas is 33-38. They are 8.5 behind. Houston 33-39. They are 9 games behind. So the good news, the Astros are closer to second place, but they are now further away from first place. Chris, do you see the Astros catching Seattle at all?
I don't, but right now I actually probably give them against then Texas, because I think Texas at this point, and so you guys are in a similar spot. I think that's a really good roster, but I just think the injuries have caught up to them. I think it's a combination of injuries and World Series hangover. No Corey Seager for a while. Adolis Garcia's had kind of a down year. You know, they've had a million pitching injuries. Even if they, and I don't think they really will, but even if they get back a fully healthy DeGrom and Scherzer, it might be too late at that point. Seattle, they play to their strengths. I was not crazy about the offseason they had, but they're a team I think that will last, because they just have 3 pitchers in the front of that rotation that I love. I think that Castillo, Gilbert, and Kirby are 3 ace caliber pitchers. And as frustrating as that offense has been for them, I think that they're probably going to make a move or two at the deadline. So I just, a fully healthy Houston, I think, could definitely make this a race. But with the number of injuries that they've had to the pitching staff, and with Frommer being at points inconsistent as well at the top of that rotation, I just don't see it right now. And obviously you have the Tucker injury as well. So I think it's surprising, because I like I said, I did not like the offseason they had, but it seems like it's Seattle in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I kind of feel like the Astros are one of those teams where when they get hot, they get hot.
Yeah.
And they're definitely a team where they can go on a really crazy run, win 13, 15 in a row, and make it a challenge. I don't think last year I 100% expected us to win the division on the last day of the season. I don't think anyone did. I think you're crazy if you said you expected that.
No way.
But they made it happen, and it was incredible. And so I think it takes that one little bit of just like a spark for them to really get going, and they could make it a race. I don't know. I kind of agree with Chris. I don't see it right now, but then again, I didn't see it last year, and they made it happen.
Yeah, the Seattle beat Texas. They swept Texas, and then we swept somebody. I don't know. Whoever we're playing, they weren't even trying to win. So
I think it was
pretty
Arizona.
awesome. Yeah, Arizona. So Houston is actually only 6.5 games out of the wild card. So a nice win streak, and they'll be right up there in it. Even if they don't win the division, it didn't work for them last year. They played too many games at home.
True.
They can't win at home. Last year we were debating, should they be number 2 or should they just be number 6?
Yeah.
And number 6 probably would have worked out. I think that break hurts people. So let's take a look at Detroit. They're 34-37, 3-7 in their last 10. And if you take that away, 31-30. So before the last 10 games, you're above 500. And what's the feeling and what's going on with Detroit that they're 3-7 in the last 10?
My feeling right now is, I said before the season started, I looked at the schedule and I went, this team has a chance with the way the schedule opens up for them in the first 2 months of the season to be that team at the end of May that you look at and go, wow, they're 6-7 games above 500. That lasted about 10 games because we got off to that 6-1 start and people were kind of talking. Right now we're at a point in the season where we're going to have to steal some series if we want to get back even into the wild card race, because we lost home series against the Nationals. We lost a home series against the Marlins. We've lost some home series. I mean, you brought up, I know we got shut out back-to-back games by the Marlins. Like wow. Talking about this offense. Yeah. We've lost some series at home and on the road to some not so good teams. And if we could have found a way to, create a little breathing room, I wouldn't have been frustrated by losing 2-3 in Houston. I wouldn't be frustrated by potentially going to Atlanta, which is where we go next, and losing a series. But they're at a point right now where there's not a whole lot of margin for error. They do have a series coming up against the White Sox, which, as you pointed out earlier, is a team nobody wants to lose to. At this point, Detroit did sweep them to begin the series. But yeah, it's because of that last wild card. They are not completely out of it. But I think, having watched this team for 70-something games now, I just think that this series they just played, that's a microcosm of who they are. There will be games where they're simply capable of outpitching another team. There will be those random games where the offense gets hot, but as a whole, there's just not enough consistency here in this lineup to make me believe that it's a team that can make a playoff push, which is too bad because I think that at the front of their rotation, they have some guys who can really throw the ball, but it's just not enough.
Detroit is only 5 games out of the wild card.
Yeah.
And Toronto's 4 behind, Boston is 3 behind. So I think the wild card is there for both of us, but you cannot get beat by teams like the Marlins and the White Sox. You have to handle business when you're supposed to handle business. All right. Next up for the Astros, who are 33-39, 5-5 in their last 10, is the Chicago White Sox. Oh, by the way, Cleveland's 44-25. No way you're catching those guys.
Yeah, no, I've already given up on the Central, which is crazy because coming into the year, that I was like, man, 85 wins could probably win this division. The idea of having 2 teams in the Kansas City and Cleveland playing at a 95 win or above pace is not what I expected at all. So no, and we haven't even played Cleveland yet, but yeah, no, they're on the verge of running away with this thing.
I think we swept Cleveland.
I think we did.
That's weird.
Baseball's
anyway,
weird, man.
Yeah.
So Cleveland's like, we should be 47-25, but we got beat by the Astros. All right, so the White Sox 19-53. This is what I was saying. You can't lose to teams like this. They're 4-6 in the last 10, negative 148 run differential. These guys are taking a pounding.
Yeah.
The Astros are off Monday. The series starts Tuesday. The Astros have, I guess because of the situation with JV, they don't have the pitchers announced, but you might be able to help me with this. Cannon 0-1, 456. Crochet,
yeah,
6-5, 316, pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then flexing his muscles with a 2-6 record, 5.35 ERA. I mean, I don't know who's going to pitch for the Astros, but anything less than the sweep, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm not lying.
Yeah, I don't blame it. I will say Crochet, we faced him opening day, and I've seen him. Crochet's quite good. Like, he went up against the Mariners last week. I think he struck out 13. Like, he's it's similar, similar to kind of where the White Sox were at when Chris Sale was pitching. Just a big, tall, hard throwing lefty. So you could have some trouble with him. But the other thing about, and it's a sign of a bad team that just finds ways to lose games. Their bullpen is a mess. So even if you do get 5 or 6 productive innings out of their starters, it's very tough for them to hold a lead at this point. So yeah, no, it's lofty expectations, but it's reasonable expectations for a team like that to look at and be like, we got to sweep.
Steph?
I mean, I kind of feel the same way. It's one of those teams that I have friends that work for the White Sox, so I feel bad saying this because they're just having a rough time right now and they sell tickets for that team, but I sold tickets for the 2013 Astros, so felt. But yeah, it's a team you really don't want to lose to. It's one of those situations where you have to go in, you have to sweep. This is a series that we have to take. And again, helps us inch closer to that wild card spot. Hopefully Seattle loses a game or 2. I wouldn't be mad about it, and helps us get a little higher in the division. But I think it's a series that you really just have to take and really take advantage of that opportunity.
A sweep will definitely get us a lot closer.
Oh, yeah.
To that wild card spot. However, after that, we're back at Minute Maid Park to face the Orioles, which is going to be tough.
Ooh,
and then the Rockies.
Yeah.
3 games with the Orioles, 2 with the Rockies. So if we win, I don't know. We usually play good against good teams. It's kind of weird.
It's real weird.
All right, next segment. This is the final segment. So be ready for this. Fair or foul? I'm going to say a statement and you say fair. If you agree with it, foul if you don't. Number 1. The Orioles will catch the Yankees.
I want to say fair, but I'm going because they were my preseason pick to win the American League. Pitching injuries, I think, are devastating for them. Tyler Wells, John Means, and Kyle Bradish all in the IL. Some of those guys out for the season. As good as Corbin Burns has been, and as good as Grayson Rodriguez, I think will be. I just don't think there's enough depth to that pitching staff right now. The fact that the Yankees have played this well with Garrett Cole not making a start yet this season, I think there's actually a chance for them to improve. So I'm gonna say the Yankees hold on and win that division.
I'm going to say fair. I think the Orioles catch them. I think the Orioles make it happen. I feel like the Yankees, a lot of times they have really, really good stretches and then have that mid-season collapse where all of my Yankees fan friends are like, oh my God, the sky is falling. It's the worst team ever. So kind of waiting for that to happen a little bit, if I'm being 100% honest. But you kind of wonder, having Soto and Verdugo in there now, like, does that make it different to where they're a little bit more balanced of a lineup and maybe they're not going to have that struggle? But I think the Orioles could make it happen, and I think it'd make it a really interesting division battle for them.
Soto makes a huge difference.
Huge.
He's the best
insane.
in baseball to me.
Single-handedly.
It's wild.
Single-handedly beat the Astros in the first 4 games of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let me tell you how mad I was because Aaron Judge is on my fantasy team and didn't do anything. I was like, if y'all are going to kick our ass, at least let Aaron Judge do something.
But he's made up for it lately.
Oh, he has lately.
Yeah,
I'm not mad.
He's homered again tonight already.
I saw that today. I was not mad about that. Yeah. But yeah, Soto just, oh man.
And I wanted to say that is a really good point that you make about the Yankees, because there's kind of similarities to 2 years ago when in the first half, like they were literally on a 120 win pace. Yep. And by the end of the season, it was like the gap between you guys and New York just got wider and wider and wider. So by the time they got to the ALCS, it was a 4-game sweep. So yeah, you're right. We have seen that happen before with the Yankees.
I was going to say the same thing. It was either last year or the year before. They had this amazing record, and the trade deadline came and they messed it all up. Why are you picking up 10 guys when the roster you have now is doing so well? I think they tried to do too much. But my answer is I say foul. I think the Yankees are going to hold on to first place. You don't have Garrett Cole yet, like Chris said. And also they got Juan Soto this year. And I think he is a huge difference maker. So both of you can answer this second one because we both had him as a manager and one of them still has him. I believe. Number 2, fair or foul, you love having AJ Hinch as a manager.
Fair. Love the guy. Yeah. And I'm not just saying this because he was nice enough to be on my interview show. I've always liked Hinch. I liked Hinch went well before he was ever in talks to join the Tigers. I thought that he did a wonderful job in Houston when it became apparent that the opportunity for us to get a new manager was going to be a thing. Following 2020, he was first in line. Now, I was expecting at the time that the White Sox were going to make a more serious push for him. They didn't. I've written about it before. I've made videos about it before. The issues with this team are roster construction and player development. As far as how he manages the pen, the way he constructs lineups, few guys really work harder in regards to just trying to get the most out of what he has. There was a time this year, I think we were 40-something games into the season, he'd thrown out 40 different lineups. I mean, just trying to platoon different guys, trying to get the most out. He's done a wonderful job with the bullpen, and also he's hired an excellent pitching coach in Chris Fetter. So no, AJ's my guy. I think that the next time, we'll see when that happens. Next time we are in the playoffs, I would expect he'll be the manager here.
I think it's 100% fair. I worked there whenever he was the manager, and he is just the most personable guy. He loves talking to the fans. He loves being a player's manager and getting to know his team. And again, that's something that's so intangible for a manager, because if you don't gel with your team, it makes a huge impact on how well these guys can play. And I think it was incredible how just very upfront he was, very transparent he was about all kinds of different things that went on in the clubhouse. And I think fans appreciate that because it doesn't make you feel like you're like being left in the dark or lied to, or, you know, kind of, as much as we love Dusty Baker, that's what would he always say? The thing about when you can't talk about people's injuries or something.
No,
I don't know. He would always make up some crazy stuff talking about how it was like medical something. And I'm like, sir, that's not a thing. You're not a doctor. That's not how this works. But so having AJ was just such a breath of fresh air back then. And I miss that man so much.
I was hoping he'd come back. I love AJ.
We were worried. Yeah, we extended him early in this most recent off season, and I think that obviously alleviated a lot of stress for sure.
All right, so I got a text from Wally. I think he's watching right now, and you've got a friend behind you there, Steph. He said we beat the Guardians 2 out of 3.
Oh, 2 out of 3.
So thank you for that, Wally.
Yeah, Jackson just wants to make his debut. Welcome, Jackson, to the pod. He's going to knock one of my bats down. I can feel it.
So where I grew up in Oklahoma. I went to Dale City High School, and like you could just cross the street and be in Midwest City, and that's where AJ Hinch went to high school. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, his sister went to high school with us. I don't know why, but I think AJ Hinch's like a year older than me, but we were in the same school district, and I didn't know who he was.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I had no idea. I guess he just played baseball. So
yeah,
if he wasn't a football star, you really don't know who he is. But anyway, next up, fair or foul. You like the Lions' new uniform, the black jersey with the blue helmet?
Yeah, fair. I think they're great. And I think it is, man, I can't tell you how bizarre this is that like the Lions are the hot ticket in town. And not only are they the hot ticket in town, but like they're the team people actually believe in. Like it juxtaposes everything I've watched the first 28 years of my life. It's fun though. It's a fun team. They kind of can do no wrong right now. And yeah, no, I had no issues really with the previous uniforms they had. I didn't feel like there was a definite change that needed to be made, but it seems like every move that the new GM Brad Holmes and new ownership has made over the last 3 years, the fans have been overwhelmingly receptive to. And I think the new uniforms are a perfect blend of old with new. And it's a weird thing, especially in the internet age, people are always divisive. I have not seen many people who've talked poorly about him. It seems like across the board, people are excited for him.
I had to go look them up because I had no idea what you were talking about. So that's where I'm at right now.
It's got a beautiful black jersey.
They're nice.
Beautiful blue helmet. It's awesome.
I'm almost always a fan of like a black uniform. I don't know why, but I just think they look so clean. So I like them. I like them a lot. Honestly, too, I actually really like the Motor City ones that they came out with for the Tigers this year. I thought they were pretty cool.
The City Connects. Yeah,
the City Connects this year were also super nice. So I was like, Lions, let me go look this up. No, those are clean.
What about the Texans? They have that dark blue uniform, and they put the Love You Blue in there, and it has an H with a star. I'm not sure where that came from. I like the colors, but I'm not a fan of that H.
Yeah, it looks too much like the Rangers City Connect hats, if you ask me. and the City Connect logo for the Rangers. So not a huge fan of it, but I'm also not a Texans fan. So more power
What?
to you.
You're a Cowboys fan?
You knew this, Rob.
I could switch either way.
Just trying to put me on the spot. How dare you?
I'm just trying to love Houston.
Gonna lose followers now. This is
No,
all your
no.
fault, Rob.
There's so many Cowboys fans. It don't matter.
That is true. We're everywhere.
So I love them. I say fair. That black jersey with that blue
They're
helmet
nice.
is sweet. All right. Fair or foul, we will have an AL West World Series three-peat. The Astros won it. Then Texas won it. Seattle wins the World Series this year. AL West three-peat.
I'm going to say foul. Now, my opinion of that could change because, I mean, Mariners have always been, kind of hesitant with this stuff. But, man, I really think if they add one or two big bats, they become a team that is a favorite potentially to win the American League and maybe even the World Series. But with the way the Yankees are rolling in the AL and with some of the stacked teams you got in the NL with the Dodgers and Phillies, I'm gonna lean towards foul with that one. I don't think we see it.
I'm also going to go foul on this one. I think there are just a lot of teams that are just a little bit better. But at the end of the day, as long as you get into the postseason, it doesn't really matter what your record was. I mean, how many times have we gotten beat by wild card teams in the World Series? Twice with the Nationals and the Braves. So, I mean, once you're in it, you're in it. And nothing you did during the regular season matters.
We could have a three-peat with the Astros.
Hey, we could. Astros come in as the wild card. Just get in there.
You just got to get in there.
Wouldn't be mad about it.
The Tigers could get in there. The Astros could get in there. They can, Chris. They can.
They can. I'm not holding out too much hope, but yeah, they definitely can.
They can.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. This was kind of a quick one. Minor league baseball. Like, let's say you're going to watch it, whether it's on TV or live. Minor league baseball is better than college baseball as far as like a fan enjoyment watching it.
Ooh. This is really close. I'm going to say foul. And there's a huge caveat here, which is that I've been fortunate enough the last 2 years to have been in Omaha for the College World Series. So that probably skewers my opinion on it quite a bit. I haven't been to many like, hey, it's the middle of March, let's go to a regular season game. I feel like, so I have literally been to the apex of the sport. Love the charm that comes with minor league baseball, but really Omaha is a legitimate, if you have the opportunity, it's a bucket list thing if you're a sports fan. It's a really, really fun experience in a beautiful park down there.
So I have always wanted to go see the College World Series, still have yet to do it. So still on the bucket list, but I'm going to say fair, mostly because minor league baseball has my heart. Being someone who was fortunate enough to live in a city that had a minor league team for a number of years, that's like my childhood, and getting to watch stars before their stars. I know the first guy I ever really saw go through the Astros minor league system in Corpus was Hunter Pence. And like, you couldn't pick a better guy to be the first guy to come through that system. And getting to see guys like Altuve, getting to see guys like Jordan and George Springer and Kike Hernandez. And my dad has a knack for just always knowing who that next guy is going to be. One of his absolute favorites in the minors was Christian Javier. And, he's like, Steph, like, this guy's going to be good. I feel it. And every time he's ever said that, he's always right. So I think I was lucky enough to live in a city that was a minor league team for my own team. And that probably skewers my opinion too, just because that experience is something like no other. I mean, you can get autographs left and right from these guys, and it just feels so much more personal when you're at a minor league ballpark, and I haven't watched a ton of college ball. So that probably is another reason that it skews my opinion as well. But I think there's just like nothing like a minor league baseball team. And I think it just has so much personality, and it's one of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah. Hard to disagree.
Yeah. I say fair. I like minor league baseball better too, but I'm not like Chris. I haven't been to the World Series. Yeah. I used to watch it a lot when I was younger. And one question I have for you, because I haven't been to a game like that in a while. What is it like with the aluminum bats? What is that? Is that noise as loud as it sounds on TV?
Yeah, pretty much. It's very much a different experience, but I was a few years ago, I was there for Ole Miss was making their run to the championship. They went back to back home runs in the first game of the championship series. I think the first time that had happened at the new park, dude, it takes a lot of getting used to with that sound. Like it's so bizarre and different than what you get at the major league level, but even there's kind of a charm to that. So no, you can definitely you can hear it. The one downside is like you think everything's a home run, like with the sound off the bat, you're like, oh, that's going 800 feet, and it's like a pop up to short. But once you get used to it, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, so I wrote some notes here. One thing that I really like watching, probably better than the College World Series, is the Little League World Series.
Yes,
that is super fun to watch. And I also love to watch the Women's World Series. And it helps that my team, OU, is the 4-time in a row champion. But I really love watching the Women's World Series softball. I love it.
Yeah, I was able to get into it a little bit because for the longest time, Michigan was really good in college softball as well. So they were consistently there. So I watched a few years with my dad. Yeah.
I think Michigan was like the first one to break through that wasn't a West Coast team,
right.
I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I remember when they won that, and that was the big story that they're the first ones that aren't from the West Coast. But anyway, that's all I have. It is time for final thoughts. You have anything you want to add, Chris?
I just want to say thanks for having me on. Like I said, always enjoy it when we match up against Houston. And if you guys make another playoff run, which I mean, I don't know how many more you guys got in you. I mean, you've made 7 in a row at this point. But if you got another one, I'd be happy to come back on at some point. So I appreciate it.
Final thoughts. First of all, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hope a lot of people got to watch baseball with their dads today. I will see my dad tomorrow, so I will have to wait until Tuesday to watch baseball with him. But hope everyone had an amazing day. Excited for the upcoming series against the White Sox. And let's see what we can do.
Yep. Happy Father's Day to everybody. I didn't say that yet, but if you're still with us, don't forget to send that email in to astrosbaseballpodcast@gmail.com. And you can win a shirt from Ram Shirts, sort of like this one, if you want it, And my also final thought is, Chris, thank you so much for coming on, dude. Love talking to you. I mean, the memory you have of everything that happened in these games.
Insane.
It blows my mind, dude. You are awesome.
I appreciate it. Just know that memory does not exist for anything else other than baseball. Like, if you need me to recall anything else, that's not there. But for this, works out great. Yes,
it's like me with 90s pop song lyrics. So
yeah,
understood.
No, we all got something. Yeah.
All right, guys. For Chris and Stadium Steffi, we will see you next time on Astros Baseball. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.